Hello and welcome to Moffside. This is actually the 9th Moffside we've done now at ORFM, oar.org.nz. So the series has been flashing by, hasn't it, lads?
9, that's quite impressive, Stu.
Yeah, 9 of these.
We're flying. We're only getting better as well.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Yeah. We said last week we had viewers from as far away as Ireland, of course, the UK, obviously, and Palmerston North. But we've also got viewers, listeners in Perth, Western Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, we're going global.
We certainly are, yeah. Got a bit of a global reach. So we've got some guests, a very special guest. We've got a big name in football, in Southern football, in New Zealand football.
Worldwide exclusive.
Yeah, this is a worldwide exclusive. If you're listening to this at 8:30 on the radio, this is an exclusive. If you're watching it on YouTube, officially this has probably already been announced, but just suspend disbelief and pretend that this is a world exclusive, because our exclusive reveal on our guest, welcome into the show, Southern United new signing, not resigning, signing, Erik Panzer. Erik, how are you?
Good, thank you. Great to be here.
Great to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
So, re-signing for Southern for a second season.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't too hard of a choice, to be honest. It was a great experience last year, a great group of lads, and just a good organisation to be a part of. So it was really, really good to be able to come back and get stuck in. Yeah.
I had people I've been going around Dunedin, in my daily life, and I've had a few people saying stuff about there seems to be a bit of a gap at the back this season. What they're going to do? How they're going to replace Erik? And I kind of already knew this time last week that you were coming back, so I've had to go. I don't know. See what happens. I'm not quite sure. I mean, Lassie's pretty good. He'll work something out.
Play there on his own.
Yeah. But no. So listeners, there is no big gap at the back now. Now Erik, it's filled. Erik's back. Erik Panzer. I'd said it's a big name in football. It's the best name in football.
It's a great name, isn't it?
Erik with a K, Panzer. Dutch, your
father's Dutch.
Father's Dutch, yeah.
The name comes from the Germans originally. There's heritage in Belgium and Germany through dad's side. So
right. Okay.
That's where you get the Panzer from.
Panzer, but I mean, if we said last week, if you were going to go away and make up your own centre half, probably the name you would come up with would be Erik Panzer.
It would, yeah. And that's more countries to add to our list now. Got some Belgian and some German.
Yeah.
There we go.
Definitely expanding on that.
Worldwide.
So where have you been, Erik? You've been playing in Australia?
I've been in Australia, yeah. So I, near the end of the National League season last season, I was contacted by a couple NPL clubs in Victoria, neither of which turned out for me to go over, but then people in State League 1 heard that I was interested in going to Australia, so a Melbourne side in State League 1 snapped me up, and it all looked great on paper, and it just didn't turn out with the football. So about 5 to 6 weeks into it, I knew the window was opening up for NPL, and I reached out to about 30 different clubs and coaches across Australia and NPL, and I got emails and phone calls back, and I signed with Olympic in Brisbane in the NPL. Yep. So
why did it not work out, Erik? Was it environment or?
It was even lesser than a semi-pro environment. It was close to amateur. Right. Just not enough training, quality, standard of training, facilities. It just wasn't what I'd imagined. Yeah. So I was glad I got the move to Brisbane, because I'm in it for football. I'm not in it for money or anything, and everyone knows the amount of money flying around Victoria. But I was very glad to get into an environment like I was up in Brisbane.
Yeah, no, Erik, you are a lad who has always struck me as someone who just absolutely loves his football, and that's been one of your driving motivations, as you said. But you've been involved in football from many different aspects, not only as a player, but you've also been involved as a coach, youth development coach. You've been involved with the LA Academy, involved with other kinds of forms of coaching.
Yeah, I did a bunch of coaching when I was in the States. Yeah. So I was at university in the States on scholarship, and in the summers there was no point coming home to a New Zealand winter really, so I stayed over and enjoyed an American summer, and I coached sleepaway camps for 5 days at a time. Would do 2 to 3 sessions a day with high school primary and high school kids.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the other coaching experience I've had.
Yeah.
You were only saying to me last week, though, it's no Southern United Skills School, is it?
Nothing quite beats Southern United Skills School.
And when's the next Southern United Skills School coming?
We're actually having a Christmas one.
Yeah.
Again, another exclusive here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a Christmas one the 18th, 19th, and 20th of December.
Busy time.
Drop the kids off and go do your Christmas shopping.
Exactly.
and pick your kids up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder whose idea that was last year.
Panzer. Are you available for that, Panzer?
I'll see if I get the call up. I've kind of been I've been left to the wayside by Football South and Southern United Skills School this year. Left to my own devices, but I'm always there for a session or two.
Waiting for the phone call. It's quite competitive now, Stu. You know, have some decent coaches in there, so I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Well, talking about the youth setup, though, I mean, back of the weekend, decent result for the lads. 2-0 win over Phoenix.
Great win, yeah, really good. Spoke to Rory Crowe during the week. Said quite possibly could have been more, but they were really happy with the performance and more importantly the structure. Especially in the youth league, I think you don't actually see many clean sheets. And again, Southern United as a whole kind of try and pride themselves on that. So, great result and great win for the boys. Yeah.
Keep in mind they were down to 10 men with 15 odd to go as well to hold out.
Yeah, that's boding pretty well for the future. I think that's going to look. I mean, against the Phoenix as well. I mean, the Phoenix don't necessarily have the best sides in National League in the youth division because there's a little bit about their structure of their setup and how they recruit. But having said that, it's still a decent result.
I think it's like the best players at the youth age, like Phoenix best youth players play in the National League as the reserves. 90% of them. So then the youth league is made up of even younger.
Yeah.
Then but again, great win. Like it's the only professional club.
And the women's team striding on again. 4-2 win against Central at Logan Park.
Yeah. Watched the first half. We all watched the first half before we headed off to Christchurch. I was actually surprised when I looked back at the result and seeing that it finished 4-2 because they were cruising for the first half. Could have been 5 or 6 at half time probably, but great result. Ruby Anderson and Amy Hislop linking up really well, so that's exciting times
Smash
for
and
them.
grab up front.
Absolutely, yeah. Big and little.
Yeah. So that puts them in third place, coming up to. We spoke 2 weeks ago about the Labour Weekend doubleheader, and you want to be in a good place going into that doubleheader because if you come off that off a loss, and psychologically it's really hard.
Absolutely, and I think Canterbury were beaten.
They were, yes.
The weekend as well.
Northern, possibly streaking out a little bit at the top now.
So good time to get them.
Good time to get
touch
them.
wood.
Yeah.
You want to get if they can at least get 2 win or win and a draw over the weekend, that puts them in a very good position. But if they can't get results this weekend, then the top 2 will kind of be floating away in the distance.
Yeah, it is.
Big weekend.
It is, yeah, because you're right. I mean, whatever happens out this weekend really sets up the run-in for the NWL.
And what is it, Saturday, Monday they play?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting setup.
Yeah. Because psychologically, because Eric, you have a background as a sports psychologist, am I right?
To an extent.
To an extent.
Yeah.
But and if not a background, certainly an interest in it.
Yeah.
I was just saying it can be quite hard to get people psychologically onto the page in this kind of situation. How do you find the psychological aspect of football in your game? Big question.
Oh, I mean, mental preparation's huge. Being able to have a clear idea of your actions and what you're trying to do, sort of thing. For my personal game, there's always goal setting. There's mental imagery. There's a bit of quiet time. Like, boys will probably wonder why I sit in the locker room with a minute to go before we have to walk out on the field, and I'm sitting there stationary, like eyes closed, and everyone's trying to get revved up, but I'm just calming myself down. So it's just keeping control of the mind, I guess, and keeping the focus is a huge thing that I keep in my game. Yeah,
Led, what do you reckon Eric's goals that he sets himself would be?
Let's just keep giving the ball to lads, I'd say.
I think you're not wrong. I think because analysing you last year, I think one of the things you probably set yourself as a goal is you do like to get the defence, that pass that splits a couple of lines. You like to have that at least once or twice in your game, I think, don't you?
Yeah, over the last couple of years, for a central defender, it's become not like a glorified pass, but like it's a better option. Can you bypass a midfield and find a 10's feet, or can you find the winger's feet and cut out 3 or 4 players? Like how many lines can you break with a pass or stepping in sort of thing? So, but then it's also finding the balance of not trying to do it too often and making sure you do it at the right moment.
You really got, because you say about stepping in as well. It's another thing that Erik likes to do. You put in notes as well, doesn't he? He likes to drive the ball into midfield and then see if he can make that pass as well. But that's fantastic when it works. But if you go wrong there,
it is. It's definitely the risky ones, like especially for centre halves, because if it is cut out, chances are like there's someone running at you 1v1, and if they beat you, they're in on goal type thing. But no, I'm a big fan of them. I love centre halves that are willing to risk it sometimes and play out, and Erik's definitely one of them. And I think him and Lasty make a really good partnership. Lasty obviously a bit of a strange one, but rather like prefers to play on the left, even though he's right-footed.
Yeah.
But he's so good defensively in that position that Erik balances out a little bit from driving in and trying to suck players out and that stuff.
Because you you've got a bit of cover behind you. Lassie's not going to come with you.
Well, if both of them go, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah, great stuff. So we were talking before you arrived, actually, about how you actually originally met Lex.
I was wondering if this was going to come up.
It was.
Good.
Because we have that interesting thing at the moment with like in the National League where, you have overseas players having a limit and a cap and all that kind of stuff, and you can't have too many players. And we've seen in Tasman with Cam Gordon, he didn't get on because of that kind of cap as well. You had, was it visa problems or was it a cap restriction with Derry City? Or?
Yeah, so when I graduated from university, and the women's coach from my university played with the assistant coach from Derry City, and one of the girls that he had on his team, her parents, still lived in Derry, and so they were like, you can stay there, go on trial with Derry, and I was like, fantastic. So I shooted off from Quinnipiac and went over to Derry, and I was on trial about 2.5 weeks in. I'd played a friendly, and the manager brought me in, and he was getting an idea of my situation, what I was looking at, and whether I had any baggage to come with me, sort of thing, and all that stuff, and so it was looking very promising. And then when he went to the administrators and stuff like that to figure out how they could sign me, they never signed someone outside the EU, and I don't have an EU passport, so it became a bit challenging, and the different roads that we went down trying to find the passport or find the visa, never really came to fruition. And then it was like, we'll sign you, but you can go on loan, or you can sign here and we'll keep track of you. And so it went back and forth a fair bit. But at the end of the day, there was no appropriate visa to sign as a professional football player, because Northern Ireland is considered to be part of the UK. So the UK elite sports person visa, you had to be playing for your national team for at least 2 years, and
just missed out.
That surely hasn't happened yet.
Rory Fallon, if you're listening.
Well, it's funnily enough, after Derry, that's where I went. Yeah, I got in touch, and Rory Fallon sorted me out, sort of thing. But yeah, so I was in Derry, and I was living with a couple of the boys, and there was like a under 14 or under 15 tournament up in Derry.
And is that the Milk Cup? Because that's
foil cup.
Right. There was the Milk Cup in Derry as well. That did occur. But yeah, the foil cup was happening, and the lads were like, "Oh yeah, we'll go along." They wanted to catch up with an old mate. Yeah. And so we've had along. We've gone and watched Danny Ledworth's game, and after the game, we're chatting outside, and Danny's like, "Oh yeah, I'm heading down to New Zealand next year," and I'm like, "Where are you off to?" Was it Southern at the time, or was it Otago still?
No, it was Southern.
It was Southern. Yeah. So he said, "Yeah, I'm off to Southern." So I had a little bit of a giggle when I said, "Good luck." Yeah. And little did I know, 3 years down the track, I'm lining up next to him, and you can see the progress in the last 3 years. So
it was definitely a bit of a bit scary when, because it was probably, to be fair, like the reaction anyone would have had, because of the past 5-6 seasons, where Southern or Otago were relatively low in terms of league position and stuff like that. So yeah, when I mentioned to Erik where I was going, I was hoping, that'll be great, really good environment, really good facilities, players and that. But he just laughed at me. yeah. So I was straight on the phone to Paul. Yeah. It's just definitely going ahead.
Yeah.
But nah, as you said, all turned out quite well. So
yeah. And then you didn't recognise him at Team Wellington?
So we played. Yeah. So maybe 2 years later, we played Team Wellington towards Christmas. I think you came on in the game, did you?
Yeah, that game I did come on.
And then at the end, I think we got a great 1-1 draw. We were down to 10 men.
10 men, yeah.
And yeah, Erik just came up and said, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah," And then he mentioned that mentioned the boys' names like Aaron and Wardy, my mates that were living in Derry, and Erik was living with them at the time. And I remember it in Derry, and then that's when it clicked with me. And it was actually probably then that we started chatting about the possibility of you, because you weren't happy there at the time.
No.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took the agent's fee.
Took the agent's fee, yeah, right, which was 0.
Exactly.
0.
Couple coffees here and there. And
that's about it. Yeah. And then you moved to Truro, like we just mentioned, with Rory Fallon.
Yeah. So back up to Ireland. I was in Ireland. They allowed me to train, so I trained full time for 2.5 months with him, which was fantastic. Yeah. Full time professional environment. And I was on the phone to figure out what my next move was. Yeah. And I spoke to Alex Armstrong at the time, who was the assistant coach of the All Whites, and he said, "Oh, I've got Rory Fallon's number. I'll put you in touch with him. Rory might be able to figure out something." Right. So I called Rory, and Rory's like, "Yeah, you can get the 2-year work and holiday visa." And because Rory was a player coach at Truro, to National League South, which is Tier 6 in England, so it wasn't professional. So I could be on a work and holiday and play sort of thing. Yeah. So
decent enough club though.
Yeah, a decent club, trying to do the right things. They got relegated, I think, last year actually. So they're down in Tier 7 at the moment. But I've recently reconnected with the new owners of the club, who I'm supposed to be meeting in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, so I went down there.
Another exclusive.
What's happening here?
Oh no, nothing like that.
Jeff cut that quick.
Yeah. Went down there and met with Rory and had a trial as such for a week, and then it was I had to get out. I had to leave the UK to get my work and holiday visa, and I had to go to a country that I had residency. Yeah. And so going from England to New Zealand was too far, and I have a US passport, so I just went to the US for a month, trained, waited on the visa to come through. Once that came through, I headed back to Truro, and away I went for 5 months down there, slogging it out. Tuesdays away up in Margate, 7 hours away, and then back down to Cornwall sort of thing. So yeah, it was an experience in itself. Yeah.
And Rory Fallon, of course, has just been appointed assistant coach for the All Whites. Yeah. And I believe has he still got his ice cream company down in Cornwall?
They still do. Yeah. Fantastic ice cream.
Yeah, because there will be listeners from Devon, so just go across the border into Cornwall, get yourself a nice...
Oh, it's actually in Devon. It's in Plymouth.
Well. There you go.
It's located in Plymouth.
Get your ice cream. Should we plug Rory Fallon's ice cream company, Rory?
I think we just have.
The Cowlick Creamery.
There you go. Thanks, Rory. And you are available, of course, for selection to the All Whites, I believe, at the moment.
Of course.
Yeah. Fully.
We'll see.
Les has got to get a passport through, but he's also available.
Getting close.
We'll
see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, fantastic appointment, I reckon, having his experience. And I think what Danny's brought him in for is more the camaraderie and the culture.
Because you can't lose that. I mean, once you've got people like Rory Fallon wandering around back in New Zealand, I mean, I still remember that, the header goal against Bahrain. Yeah.
What a moment.
It is. It's an iconic Kiwi moment there from Rory Fallon. And, of course, his dad, Kevin Fallon, as well, one of the 82 All Whites. Yeah. So it just makes so much sense to have him into the setup, and I think New Zealand football will be the better for it. Yeah,
and he is doing his coaching licenses. I know that, and he's back involved at Plymouth Argyle, coaching in the academy. So he is working his way back in. Yeah. I think he took a bit of a hiatus from football. Had a kid and things like that. Yeah. So it's good to see him back involved, and he's a proud Kiwi, and you want to keep him around.
Let's see if we can get him down for a show.
I can't see why not. Sure.
Yeah.
We've just plugged his ice cream
We
shop.
plugged his
there,
ice cream
so
shop,
we can't
yeah.
do any more.
And of course we got Andy Bones is coming down at some point as well in the near future as well. So I'm going to see if we can tap him in for a show. Andy, if
Absolutely.
listening, will come down on Moffside.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a chat as well. So, Leds, have you got your medium fire questions?
I do,
for
yeah.
Erik?
It's a little bit different this week now because I was told Jordan Spain was coming.
Yeah.
By Holly Percival.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Holly.
Percival said that.
Absolute
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
shouting right here.
So she evidently ruined the podcast today. So I'm just
But
gonna.
she didn't. Thanks for everything you do, Holly. We love you.
So yeah, I had a bit of a game to play, as in I'd give both of the boys scenarios, and they'd say at the same time what they'd pick. So
Right. Yeah.
rather than that, I'm just gonna ask Erik the questions.
Yeah.
So first one will go. Same as last week. What's your biggest pet peeve as a player during sessions? So it can be with a coach or other players or anything.
Biggest pet peeve during sessions.
This is why it's
What-
called medium fire.
Medium fire.
One of the big ones is like when coaches like wind players up, like saying the ball isn't out but it's clearly out, or like making you guys concede and like
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Because you know they're just doing it to wind you up
Yeah.
and try and like get you out of it. But that's
Paul Paul's not listening.
he is notorious for it, isn't he?
I actually learned how to do that off Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, I completely agree. I think in training games, if it's not refed properly, I genuinely think it's dangerous. Like, because if the coach is just messing around and doesn't have control of
Yeah.
it, tackles just end up flying in, and he gets so wound up, like, and it gets quite dangerous.
Oh, you can just totally lose respect of the whole squad if you fuck it up. As a
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
Excuse me, there, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, quick. Right, next question. So 2 options, right? You can either win the National League this season or finish last, but you play 90 minutes for the All Whites in their next 10 games.
Ooh.
Rory, you listening?
Do I look at this selfishly because the ramifications of playing for the national team could
Yeah.
lead to something better?
Yeah.
We had about
quite possible.
200 viewers on the YouTube channel, so I think you're probably in a very safe space here.
But
You
then
can say what you
also
want.
winning the National League shows just as much as a player. So winning the National League would put me in a better position as a player to be successful, I think.
So you're going to go with that? Yeah, so you're turning down the All Whites. Rory, you listening? Right,
I'll get Phil Roller to write an article how Erik Panzer turns down the All Whites without even getting called.
bastard
Another
everywhere.
exclusive.
Okay, next question. Best day you've ever had in football?
Ooh. So I've won twice. I won the National Youth League with Canterbury United. That was probably before like it meant a lot or
Yeah.
it meant more.
Yeah.
And then with Quinnipiac, my second year, we won the conference. We won the regular season. We won the postseason. And that group of players is like they're my closest friends sort of thing. So
yeah.
I'd say winning the penalty shootout against Monmouth in the MAC Championship at Fairfield. I can remember everything clearly.
Yeah.
Decent
So-
celebrations, I'd say.
Great celebration for sure. Me and another Kiwi were doing the haka in the locker room, everything like that. Yeah.
Brilliant, good
So-
stuff. Right, next question. Again, 2 options. Never have an injury again, or never give away a foul again.
Ooh.
Well, I've not really had a serious injury.
Touch wood.
Never have an injury again or never give a foul away.
So like you could literally play this whole season and you could do what you wanted, like no fouls.
Do you mean not get picked up for a foul?
So like, yeah,
Like no rules, like
no right.
no rules. Like if we're holding off for like a 1-0 lead, you can just jump and goal with Liam if you want.
That would be a
else.
bit of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd take that. I keep my body in pretty good nick, so I'm not too worried.
Not too worried
about
about injuries.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next question. Best advice you've ever received as a player or coach or anything?
No one can be nicer than you, and no one can work harder than you.
Ooh.
Wow, I just got tingled.
Yeah.
Wow, very inspirational.
Take that away.
I knew we'd have a good one for that.
I'm going to put that on my fridge, I think.
I'm going to get a tattoo of that. Brilliant. Where are we? Right, next one. Last one, sorry.
Yeah.
Right,
In the medium fire round.
two options again. Play in the Premier League for 3 consecutive seasons for free. Or
As in, he doesn't get paid?
Doesn't get paid.
Right. Okay.
Or play for Southern United for 3 consecutive seasons on 50 grand a week.
Which is a pay cut for...
Yeah. So similar to what you're on there.
Being the adventurer that I am and wanting football experiences, I'd go to England.
Yeah.
I'd play in the Premier League 100%.
I was actually thinking about this on the way in the car. Because there'd be ways around it, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
Wouldn't there? Like you could work and...
You get sponsorship deals and stuff like that, for sure.
And if you get a bit controversial, like, you'll just...
Yeah.
You'll pick up money on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'll be alright.
But... yeah, I mean, I'm in it for experiences, and I've had a solid year already down here, and I'll hopefully have another one. But I'm always looking to seek new opportunities. So I'm not looking to settle down. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. No, yeah,
fair enough.
So you must have had some, because Jose, obviously, you've worked with before. You got links with Scotty, obviously at Team Wellington. Have you worked with Padwell before from Canterbury United?
No,
Padmore.
Padmore,
But
no.
yeah, so no, definitely. You must have had the offers coming in. Yes, he definitely did.
Yes and no.
Yeah. So it's great you signed for Southern again.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, if they're giving him 50 grand a week.
50 grand a week, yeah.
No-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, listen, that's all we've got time for this week. It's been a great chat, and it's been great to have the exclusive Erik Panzer in this week. And obviously, again, it's been great to have Leds in. Leds, how many days are we from the season? What, 9, 8?
Eric's looking at his watch.
I would say it's 8 or 9.
8 or 9 days away from the start of the
Exciting
season.
times.
So if you can get away, watch the NWL game this Saturday down at Logan Park when the women take on Canterbury United. I'm Stuart Moffat. I've got Leds in here. As I said, Erik has been in with us as well. Erik Panzer, what a great name.
Best name in football.
Best name in football. Second best name in football was Rene Bacon, but won't go into that. Goodbye.